All right, let's talk about coriander. You know, cilantro. It's one of those herbs that can totally transform a dish, right? But what if I told you that you could have a non-stop supply of it, super fresh, super aromatic, right in your kitchen, any time of year? And get this, without a single speck of dirt. Yep, we're gonna show you exactly how.
Seriously, just take a look at this. Imagine you're making dinner, maybe some fresh salsa or a curry or tacos, and you just reach over and snip off a perfect, vibrant bunch of coriander. It's so fragrant, and you know for a fact that it's 100% clean, no pesticides, nothing nasty. Plus, the flavor, it's on a whole other level compared to what you get at the store. This isn't some gardening fantasy, folks. This is exactly what we're gonna achieve today. And believe me, it's way easier than you think.
Okay, so if you've ever tried growing anything the old-fashioned way, you know the struggle, right? You're hauling these massive bags of soil, then suddenly some mystery bug decides to have a feast on your plants overnight, and the mess! Oh, the mess! Well, the method we're talking about today, hydroponics. It just gets rid of all of that. No soil, no pests, no mess. It's just a super clean, super controlled, and honestly, an unbelievably efficient way to grow your own food.
So, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How on earth does a plant not just live, but actually thrive without any soil? It kind of sounds like magic, but it's not. And that's exactly what we're gonna unpack right now, step by step. We'll take you all the way from one tiny little seed to a harvest that just keeps on giving.
All right, let's get right into it. Now, I know calling this the future might sound a little dramatic, but honestly, for anyone growing at home, especially if you're in an apartment or don't have a big yard, this is an absolute game changer. It basically eliminates all the guesswork from gardening. Suddenly, you're the one in complete control.
Let's just put it side by side. You buy that bunch of coriander from the store, and what happens? It's a sad, wilted mess in like 2 days. But when you grow it yourself this way, it stays fresh and crisp for weeks. Pests? Not your problem, because you control everything. And the cost? Yeah, there's a small setup cost, but after that, you're looking at nearly free herbs. But here's the real kicker, the flavor. It's intense, way more aromatic, way more potent. And that's because the nutrients go straight to the roots. Oh, and get this? The science backs it up. Plants grow something like 30 to 50% faster, and you use about 90% less water. Think about that, 90% less. It's just wildly efficient.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. You're probably picturing some complicated lab setup, right? Like you need a PhD to even get started? But I promise you, the reality is so much simpler. We're gonna walk through exactly what you need for your little starter kit, and we'll begin with the most important thing of all, the seeds.
So let's be real for a second. Coriander seeds can be a pain. They're notoriously stubborn. But don't worry, this 4-step process is basically your cheat code for success. First up, you've got to pick the right seed. You're looking for something called slow bolting. Bolting is just a fancy word for when the plant decides to flower too early, and that makes the leaves taste bitter. Nobody wants that. So varieties like Calypso or Leisure are your best friends here. They'll give you way more time to harvest. Okay, step 2, and this is a huge pro tip, that little round thing you think of as a coriander seed, it's actually a tough little husk with 2 seeds inside. So what you want to do is gently crack it open, just a light crush. This basically doubles your chances of germination. Step 3, give them a bath. Just soak the cracked seeds in some lukewarm water for 24 to 48 hours. This softens up that hard shell. And finally, my favorite, the paper towel method. You just tuck your soaked seeds into a damp paper towel, seal it in a bag, and stick it somewhere warm. It creates this perfect little spa environment for them. In about a week to 10 days, you'll see these tiny little white roots pop out. That's the magic moment. That's when you know you're in business.
Okay, so you've got these tiny little sprouts. Now what? You might be thinking, here comes the expensive part. But nope, you absolutely do not need to go out and buy a bunch of fancy equipment. You can literally start with a plastic water bottle. I'm serious. It's a brilliant, super low-cost way to just try this whole thing out. It's clean, it's easy, you're recycling, and you get to see how it all works without spending a dime. It's the perfect first step.
Now, once you've tried the water bottle method and you're hooked, which you probably will be, you might want to level up. There are a ton of options. On one hand, you've got a simple, bare root system. You'll hear people call it deep water culture, or DWC. It's basically what it sounds like. The roots just hang out in a big tub of water that's full of nutrients and oxygen. It's super, super effective. Then you've got something a little more advanced, like the nutrient film technique, or NFT.
That's where a really thin stream of nutrient water is constantly flowing over the tips of the roots. It's incredibly efficient. It's what a lot of the big commercial guys use, but you can find smaller versions for home too. The main point here is it doesn't matter if you have a tiny budget or a whole room to dedicate to this. There's a system out there that's perfect for you.
So, having the right system is a big piece of the puzzle, but it's not the whole story. Now we need to talk about the environment. This, right here, is the real magic of hydroponics. You're basically creating a 5-star, all-inclusive resort for your plants. You're the general manager, the head chef, the concierge. You get to control everything to make their little world absolutely perfect. Okay, don't freak out when you see these letters and numbers. I know it looks a little scientific, but trust me, these concepts are super simple. First, let's talk about pH. Just think of pH as a locked door. The nutrients are on the other side. If your pH isn't in that perfect sweet spot, right around 5.5 to 6.7, that door stays locked. The food is right there, but the plant literally can't eat it. Now EC, that's even simpler. It just stands for electrical conductivity, and it's basically how you measure the amount of food in the water. Think of it like a dinner plate. Too little EC and your plant is starving, too much EC and it's like force feeding it. You can actually burn the roots. Getting these two numbers dialed in, that is the secret sauce. It's the key to getting that crazy explosive growth.
So, here it is. This is your ultimate cheat sheet. This is the perfect recipe for happy coriander. First, light. It's a sun worshiper. It wants 12 to 16 hours of light every single day, which is exactly why indoor grow lights are so awesome for this. Next, temperature. Coriander is kind of like Goldilocks. It doesn't like it too hot. Keep it cool, somewhere between 59 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, or 15 to 20 Celsius. That's what keeps it from bolting, remember? And there they are again, our two magic numbers, pH and EC, right in their happy place. You give your plant these 4 things, and I'm telling you, it will absolutely take off.
And here's the proof in the pudding, or, well, in the water. This is what success looks like. When you get that pH and EC just right, this is what you're rewarded with, this incredible, beautiful network of pure white roots. They're not just there to hold the plant up, this is the engine room. This is the powerhouse that's sucking up all that perfect nutrient solution and sending it upstairs to create those amazing, fragrant leaves you're gonna eat. If you ever see brown, slimy roots, you know something's wrong. But bright, crisp, white roots, that's the sign of a very, very happy plant.
Okay, so let's recap. You've prepped your seeds like a pro, you've picked out a system, and you've created the perfect little plant paradise. Now, we get to the really good part, the whole reason we're doing this. Let's talk about the harvest.
So, from that moment you tuck your seeds into that paper towel, the countdown begins. In just about a week, maybe 10 days, you'll see those first signs of life. Then, for the next few weeks, the little seedlings just go to town, growing and putting out tons of leaves. And before you know it, somewhere around day 40 or 50, boom, you're ready for your first harvest. It's honestly amazing how fast it all happens. That speed is one of the huge perks of growing this way.
But listen, that first harvest, that's just the appetizer. See this number, 3 to 5? That's how many times you can come back and get a really good harvest from the same exact plant before it starts to get tired. This isn't a one-shot deal. We're talking about a continuous, rolling supply of fresh coriander, all from that one little seed you started with. So how do you make that happen? It's all about a technique called cut and come again. It's super simple, and it basically tricks the plant into keep making more leaves for you. All you do is snip the bigger, taller leaves from the outside. That's it. This opens things up so light can get down to the new little leaves in the center, which is where all the new growth comes from. The golden rule here is never get greedy. Don't take more than about a third of the plant at once. Leave it enough leaves to keep making energy and bounce back. If you do this right, you'll be harvesting fresh coriander for 6, 7, even 8 weeks straight. It's awesome. Okay, look, even though this whole process is pretty simple, things can sometimes go a little sideways, especially when you're just starting out. It happens. So, in this next part, we're going to look at the most common hiccups you might run into, and more importantly, we're going to share some killer pro tips straight from other growers so you know exactly what to do if they pop up. No need to panic. So check out this quote from a user on Reddit. This is perfect. They said, "I'm pretty sure it got root rot. Perhaps it works better with oxygenated water though." And bam! They nailed it. Root rot is probably the #1 thing new growers worry about. But this person figured out both the problem and the solution in the same sentence. The roots couldn't breathe, they needed more oxygen. It's such a classic real-world example. So let's build on that with a quick troubleshooting guide.
4 common problems, 4 easy fixes. Number 1, green slimy stuff in your water, that's algae. It needs light to live, just like your plants. The fix? Use a container that light can't get through. No light, no algae. Simple. Number 2, root rot, which we just talked about. The solution is always oxygen. You can get a cheap little aquarium air pump to bubble the water, or just change the water out once a week. Easy. Number 3, disease, like powdery mildew. This usually happens when the air is damp and still. The fix? A tiny little fan to keep the air moving around the leaves. That's all it takes. And finally, number 4, weak, spindly plants. This is usually caused by competition. You planted too many seeds too close together. It's tempting, I know, but you gotta thin them out and give the strong ones room to breathe. They'll thank you for it.
And you know, when you put all of those little pieces together, when you start with the right seed, pick your system, dial in that environment, and harvest it the smart way, this is what it's all about. This is the payoff. You take one of those tiny, stubborn little seeds and you turn it into this constant, abundant source of the freshest, cleanest, most flavorful herbs you've ever tasted. It's just such a cool and rewarding feeling, knowing you grew that yourself.
But you know what the absolute best part is? Once you've figured out how to grow coriander like this, you've basically unlocked the secret to hydroponics. All those things you learned, managing the light, the temperature, that pH and EC stuff, it's the same exact formula for growing all sorts of other things. We're talking basil, mint, parsley, even leafy greens like lettuce or, even strawberries. The skills you just learned can grow so much more. So really, the only question is, what are you going to grow next?